Good evening, sim racing fans across the globe. We're coming to you live from the Irish Hills at Michigan International Speedway for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. This is a makeup race from 1 week ago when server issues forced the cancellation of the night's events, and we're going to kind of rack them and stack them and send them off in style once again. Hello, everybody. My name is Justin Rosenau, and joining me inside the Inside Sim Racing Broadcasting Tower, Brian Macklin. Brian, it's good to have you on board for our adventure here tonight.
Oh, absolutely. We get to do this all over again. Last week here at the Michigan International Raceway, they were able to complete 43 laps before we started having some server issues. We saw a very big portion of the field start losing connection to the server, which led to the admins making the decision to call the race and start over again here tonight. I said it last week and I want to say it again. I really applaud the efforts of the admins here at Real Sim Racing for having a system in place for that. It really makes it a lot easier for these drivers to understand exactly what they have to do in a situation like this, because the difference between us doing this in sim racing versus doing it in real life is there is no rain, but we do have something like this that can cause issues that make us have to have a plan in place, and the guys at Real Sim Racing just did an awesome job knowing exactly what to do when we start having server issues like that. They just did an awesome job.
And the field is getting set once again and on the pole, which is going to be set by how the lineup was, I believe, at lap 40, 45, somewhere in that ballpark when race officials had to cancel the night's events. Anthony DeBarro going to be on the pole for this one, as we're going to run the full race distance this week in makeup of last week, starting his outside the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt.
Starting in the third position here tonight is Stefan Marinak, and to his outside, Scott Eckert starts P4.
Inside row number 3 in the 5th spot will be the 88 of Kyle Taraska, to his outside the 2 of Rhett McBride.
Todd Witkowski starts 7th tonight, and to his outside in row number 4, that's Mike Kelly in the number 80 machine.
9th to the 42 of Scott Stenzel, 32 of Shane Ewing, and will start 10th.
Charlotte race winner Joseph Tice starts P11, and to his outside Kevin Linden will be P12.
13th to the 15 of Scott Simley, the 51 of Nick Silver will start 14th.
15th is Chad Cole, Doug Roth will start 16th.
17th to the 5 of Dan Murray, the 65 of Josh Cheney will start 18th.
Michael Priester starts 19th, and to his outside Sean Bounty starts 20th.
21st to the 97 of Lionel Callisto, and then the 3 of Greg Evans will start 22nd.
Mitch Rollo is in the 23rd position, and Carl Shedd starts P24.
25th to the 24 of Thomas J. George, Douglas Wyatt, the 28 will start 26th.
27th is Sean Casto, and to his outside Ross Cato starts 28th.
29th, we'll go to the 20 of A.J. Browning, the 41 of Adam Blattel will schedule to start 30th, and the rest of the starting order will be scrolling across your screen. Is the field going to be in the hands of Anthony DeBarro from Boomtown Sim, to his outside from Aegis Motorsports, the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt. And Brian, I really have to say that these guys getting ready to go green here in just a moment. DeBarro, Eberhardt, those two no stranger to battling.
Yeah, they're going to have a lot of fun here tonight. They were having a really intense battle last week right before we had the issues, and I look for them to pick that up where they left off last week and have a really intense battle here tonight.
Pace car slowly out of turn number 4, making a long left-hand turn down to pit road. Field in the hands of Anthony DeBarro, and waiting for the restart zone, and we are underway. Green flag in the air, and DeBarro out to a huge jump over Eberhardt, and then the 8 of Chad Cole right on the inside has a huge bumper full. The 99. Man, we got different car numbers up here towards the front of the pack, but as it stands, Eberhardt and the 99 and are going at it tooth and nail already off the turn number 2. Eberhardt settles into the second spot. The 88 of Taraska tries to go side by side for third.
Kyle Taraska looks to the inside of the number 99 of Stefan Marinak as they work off into turn 3. He's got the advantage on the bottom of the racetrack. Going to try to hook that car around that middle groove and see if he can't get the run up off the corner. Not going to be able to do what he needs to do to make the pass yet. He's got a good head of steam down the front straightaway, but just does not have the momentum he needs to clear Stefan Marinak to his outside right there, trying to do everything he can to take that position away. And as they dive off into turn 1, he's finally going to clear Stefan for that third position. Now he tries to set sights on Daniel Eberhardt, who is steady trying to run down Anthony DeBarro as they work off turn 2.
Rhett McBride a little loose off of turn number 2 to the inside of the 42 of Scott Stenzel, trying to work to the inside of the 18 of Todd Witkowski right there. Just outside of the top 5 is the 2 of Rhett McBride. He's down on the bottom and trying to go wheel to wheel with Witkowski off of turn number 4. Lap 2 already going into the books, and it's a half a second lead thus far for the 9 of Anthony DeBarro. Daniel Eberhardt trying to close in. He's right in the draft, and then right a little bit further back, another 4/10ths back. The 88 of Kyle Taraska, then Stefan Marinak, then the 70 of Scott Eckrich. The top 5 already, and with just 2 laps in the books already, the top 10, 15 cars all going single file on the racetrack as they need to lay some rubber down for the second group to start coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. And one person I look to have a good run here tonight, Scott Eckrich. He was actually the pole sitter last week in what was supposed to be the original race. He had a few issues towards the middle part of the race. Unfortunately, because of the connection issues, he was actually able to have a rerun of that and have a chance to get back up there. Right now, he's sitting in the 5th position. He was very, very strong on the short run last week here. I have a feeling he might have learned a little bit from that, and he's going to try to apply it here tonight, see if he can't be fast on the long runs. He's hanging back now, where last week he was really trying to charge his way to the front in the early stages, so he definitely looks like he's taking a different approach this week. Doing a pretty good job there in the 5th position. They're still single file all the way through most of this field. Not a lot of battling going on right now. You have to look back almost back into the 20th position or so to find a battle back there around Chad Cole and a handful of other drivers. They're trying to do a little bit back there, but nothing really going on right now. These guys are just really trying to log laps at this point.
Yeah, it's really too wide from about 25th on back. Guys just scrambling to try to make their way up through the field a little bit. The 96 of Mitch Rollo involved with that battle, along, I want to say, the 13 of Dwayne Vincent in there, the 03 in trouble, contact. The 03 of John Fowler goes around almost there, saves it, gathers it back up, but he's going to lose about 10 spots. And that was all due to a big bumper shot, I want to say, from the 65. That's Josh Cheney was involved with some of that as well. And the guys get it sorted out, but 3 wide a little bit further back. Christopher Corbin Hemstreet, the 69. Corbin getting involved in that battle as well, as is pretty much single file thus far throughout the field.
Yeah, and Corbin was another one last week. He started up towards the front, and he ended up having a little bit of an accident and was out of the race. And because of this reset, he's able to have another shot. We have a battle shaping up for the race lead. They're going to renew what they were doing last week. Anthony DeBarro, Daniel Eberhardt now battling hard for the lead. Daniel Eberhardt has ran down Anthony DeBarro, and as they go off into turn 3, he looked to the inside for a moment. He thought better of it. He's going to stay in line behind him, see if he can't set him up off turn 4. He gets a good run through the center of the corner on Anthony. Not going to be able to do enough yet as they work off turn 4 to make that move, but he has been steadily gaining on Anthony in the last couple of laps, and he's within a car length of him as they work into turn 1.
Eberhardt sneaks to the inside, looking to it anyway, going off into turn number 1. He's about a half a lane lower on entry, trying to get some air across that left front quarter panel on the 90 of Eberhardt's machine there. The 2 Chevrolets battling it out as they head off into the back straightaway. Those guys just content right now for the moment to ride around. And I'm going to take it back to you, Brian. Looking at your experience as a driver, how does this new low downforce package really play into somebody's hands, like DeBarro's or Eberhardt's here at Michigan International Speedway?
Well, it certainly plays a factor into this because you have a lot less downforce on the rear of the car. So when you get somebody tucked up on your back bumper, it can take the air off of that spoiler and can certainly upset the handling of the car. It's something you really have to be careful with. We saw some issues last week where people were getting loose off the corner most of the times when they had a car tucked up on their rear bumper. So I'm sure these drivers, they're all extremely talented drivers. We've seen that and noted that on many occasions here in RSR. All these drivers are really good, so they know how to handle it. It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out, but I'm really interested to see how hard these two at the front race, Anthony DeBarro and Daniel Eberhardt, they were really having an extremely intense battle last week here before we started having issues, and it was going to be very exciting to see what happened if we didn't have the issues we did. And they're renewing that right now as Daniel Eberhardt is right on the back bumper trying to take the air off of that spoiler as they work off turn 2. He's right there ready to pounce.
Aero push not quite as big as an issue as it ever used to be with the older downforce package on these cars. With the new low downforce package, the 3 1/4 inch spoiler or so on the back of these machines allow these guys to not push as much. They're not ever going to eliminate arrow push on these things, as Eberhard looks to the inside coming down through the tribal as they head across the start-finish line. Lap 9 goes into the books. Already almost 10% of the way through this race already. DeBarro has led every lap thus far. Eberhard's been right in his tire tracks. Tarasca's moved up from 5th to be in the 3rd spot. Stefan Marinak at the 99 will be in the 4th spot. In the 5th spot, still occupied by the 70th Scott Eckrich. Not a lot of movement going on right now on the racetrack, but Brian, I'm hearing that the 90 of Eberhard has a little bit of a cold going on.
Yeah, he's fighting a little bit of a cold here this week, and sometimes from a driver's perspective, that can actually make you work harder and race harder than if you're feeling perfectly fine. We've seen that in real life so many times where guys like Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart throughout the years, they've gotten into the car and they haven't been 100% health-wise, but they've went out there and done some of their best racing that you've ever seen them do, and that could be very true with him here tonight, because you have a reason to focus harder when you're inside the car. You don't want to think about being sick, so you put all your energy into focusing on driving the car and doing everything right in the car. It really takes your mind off of having that issue with your health, and can sometimes really translate to better driving inside the car. And who knows, that might be what we're seeing here tonight of the number 90 machine.
Looks like we have ourselves about an 8-car breakaway here towards the lead, and it's about half a second, maybe a little over that much, as the 80 of Mike Kelly looks to the inside, down on the apron through the tribal to the inside of the 42 of Scott Stenzel. Right there looking on the inside, they're going to go side by side down into turn number 1. Stenzel up on the top side. He's going to get a better run off the corner, and you got to give credit to the 80 of Mike Kelly. He's trying to do what he can do, just does not have the momentum, but the 97 of Lionel Callisto looks to the inside of Chad Cole right behind them, and this is a battle just outside the top 10.
Yeah, these guys are racing hard back there, trying to battle their way into the top 10. Chad Cole on the outside line, working through turns 3 and 4. He's now trying to hold off the number 24 machine of Thomas George as they work down this front straightaway. The outside line is going to prevail early on because that's where all the momentum is at. As the tires start to fall off and as these guys start to lose grip, you might see the bottom work a little bit better. It just really depends on who's able to hook their car the best through the corner. Thomas George was able to make that inside line work right there. He got the run in turns 3 and 4. He stayed even with Chad down the front straightaway and cleared him in 1 and 2. That's going to move him up into, I believe, the 11th position when scoring, or I'm sorry, he's in the 12th position now that he's passed Chad Cole. He's very close to working his way into the top 10. He started back in the 25th position when this race went green here tonight, so he's already moved up into the 12th position. That's up 13 spots from the drop of the green.
That's good on him. Also, as well, the guy right in front of him, the 97 of Lionel Callisto, up 10 spots, 21st to 11th right there, just outside the top 10. He's got about 4 or 5 car lengths or so, give or take, between himself and the 80 of Mike Kelly right there for that 10th spot. And those guys trying to work their way up through the pack. Top 25 on back or so, going to be single file for the most part. And for the most part, I have to say, Brian, you know, these races at Michigan, these tend to be a little bit more fuel mile races as it stands.
Yeah, absolutely. This could turn into a fuel mileage race depending on how things fly. Michigan is very well known for that, to have fuel mileage races, and that can definitely play a factor into what these guys do. And I love fuel mileage races. They're so exciting to watch, to see what drivers are doing, trying to manage their fuel and make it to the end. It's, to me, that's more exciting than some other forms of racing that we see out here on the racetrack. It's just really cool to see who can do what. Back up front, though, we still have Anthony DeBarro trying to hold off Daniel Eberhard. He's actually opened that gap up to about 2.5 tenths over Daniel right now. Kind of curious to see if maybe Daniel wore his stuff out, or maybe Anthony DeBarro was just saving and is now starting to really feel the advantage of that. But either way, these guys are still within just a couple of car lengths of each other, battling hard for the race lead. Kyle Tarasca is back there in third, trying to chase him down.
And while things seem to slow down to a lull on the racetrack, we're going to slow it down to a lull all of our own here at LSRTV. We're going to take this moment to step aside. You're watching the Michigan 190 here, coming to you live on iRacing Live and LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to the Irish Hills of Michigan, the Michigan International Speedway with the Pure Michigan 190 coming to you live on LSRTV. The voice of sim racing, Anthony Navarro, stretching the gap thus far this side of the commercial break. The gap when we went to break was just inside of about 2/10 or so. Has stretched that out, almost doubled it at 0.351, so almost 3/8 of a second. The gap between the 9 of Anthony DeBarro, the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt, and then lurking just about a second off the lead is the 70 of Scott Eckrich, who's moved up from the 5th spot. There's been some comers and goers. The 2 of Rhett McBride starting to fade, along with the 18 of Todd Witkowski. Joseph Tice and Kyle Taraska all hanging strong right there in the top 6. And Brian, good battle shaping up a little bit further afield. How about the 87 of Christopher Hurlow and the 13 of Dwayne Vincent, our defending Full Throttle Cup Series champion? They're drag racing down the front straightaway right now, side by side, as they sail off towards turn 1.
Yeah, and as they fight for that position, Dwayne Vincent's going to win the battle, and that will move him into the 17th position, moving his way up from the 37th spot. He is really moving here in the early stages of this race. Christopher Hurlow and Corbin Hemstreet right behind them. They're moving quite along, or moving along quite well as well. Christopher Hurlow started in the 33rd position and sits 18th right now, and Corbin Hemstreet started 38th and sits 19th. So all three of these drivers, they were ones that had problems early on last week in the original race, and thanks to the second chance they got here because of the server issues, they're marching their way back up through the field. All three of these drivers were up inside the top 10 at one point last week, and certainly expect to see them back up there here. If they can get a caution, maybe a lucky break to get caught up to the field. Right now, they're about 7.5 seconds behind our race leader, Anthony DeBarro, who is continuing to stretch that lead out over Daniel Eberhardt. Do want to look at a battle a little bit further ahead of Dwayne Vincent and these guys. There's a nice little battle here with Dan Murray and the 15 machinist, Scott Simley. Dan Murray's down on the bottom of the racetrack trying to make stuff happen. Looks like he's on fresh tires. Looks like he might have come to pit road a few laps ago. He is a lap down right now, so he's marching his way up through the field, and Scott Simley is actually coming to pit road. So we might see some of our race leaders coming to pit road for some green flag pit stops here in the next few laps.
Yeah, going to look like it maybe be a 3 or 4 stop strategy depending upon how everything wants to work out. I mean, tires very essential, especially now they go to the softer rubber compound that Goodyear's provided the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. It's been mimicked here on iRacing as Scott simply slides to a stop in his pit box. Right side's going up on his Exalta Chevrolet, and the crew running him back around to the left side. Left side is going back on the 15 of Scott Simley. He's going to get down and away, but a little bit back up towards the front of the field. Anthony DeBarro, half a second now the gap between himself and the 90 of Eberhardt.
Yeah, right around a half a second between these guys. Scott Eckrich is really starting to sneak into the picture. He's about 0.6 of a second off the race leader, about a car length and a half off of Daniel Eberhardt. He has really been marching up through the field here the last couple of laps, really gaining time. He gets a big run on Daniel Eberhardt as they work down the back straightaway. You have a car on fresh tires coming to the inside of both these guys. They're 3 wide for a moment. Daniel Eberhardt backs out. That was Lionel Callisto making that move to make it 3 wide down the back straightaway. He's on fresh tires. He's been on pit road and working his way now around the race leader, but a very hairy moment is now here comes Daniel Eberhardt to pit road. He dives off the racetrack and onto pit road. Got to get all the way down to 55 miles an hour. He does it cleanly. He's coming to the attention of his pit crew, looking to get 4 fresh tires and fuel when he finally makes it to his pit box. And this is going to force the hand of the other race leaders, Justin, because now that he's come to pit road, he's going to have a huge advantage on tires. They can't really afford to stay out there too much longer.
No, but as it stands, the one thing I've taken notice of, the 2 fastest drivers on older tires, it's not your leader, Anthony DeBarro, who's led from the drop of the green flag thus far. It's at the 70 of Scott Eckrich and the 24 of Thomas George. Thomas George has continued his march up through the field, started 25th, currently up to the 6th spot. But we're entering a cycle of green flag pit stops. More of the leaders head down to pit road. Eckrich is closing that gap by about 1/10 of a second per lap on Anthony DeBarro in the 9, and these guys are out on older tires, so it makes you wonder how much longer are they willing to wait, or are we going to actually see, Brian, a 3-stop strategy, or maybe even, dare I say, a 2-stop strategy?
Well, a 2-stop strategy is certainly a possibility. If they can make it 45 laps on each run, they would be able to do it actually on 1 stop right there. Because of the, yeah, they'd be able to do it right around 1 stop if they can go that far. I don't think you'll see anybody do that. I think you're going to see at least 2. And right now the issue is with Anthony DeBarro and Scott Eckrich is Daniel Eberhardt's already been on pit road. He's ahead of them on the racetrack right now. He did not lose a lap, and he got the fresh tires. He's going to be gaining about 2 seconds a lap on these guys. So if they are just staying out there for a couple of laps to maybe try to stretch it just a little bit further, they're going to end up losing a ton of time to him. The longer they stay out there, the more they're going to have to looking to try and maybe make this a 2-stop strategy where he's going to do 3.
Practice times indicate that times were down in the 38.6s for a very hot lap if you're Anthony DeBarro or Scott Eckrich. And right now they're running a 41.3, so they're almost 3 seconds off the pace. And the 25 of Joseph Tice just weaving through traffic very dangerously across the nose of Mike Kelly in the 80, and then a little bit in front of him, the 42 of Scott Stenzel, also involved in this battle. It's a big gaggle of cars, and Eckrich right there knocking on the door for the race lead at the moment. These 2 drivers still staying out on the racetrack as it's about 2-3 car lengths now as they set sail off of turn number 2.
Yeah, Scott Eckrich is slowly but surely closing that gap on Anthony DeBarro, and I do believe we might be seeing the 9 machine coming to pit road this time. I think I heard him call over the see what happens as they work through turns 3 and 4. It appears that he is not going to come to pit road. Yes, he is. He's diving to the pit road. He slows down. That's going to hand the lead over to Scott Eckrich, and our race leader, Anthony DeBarro, is on pit road. We're going to have to see how far behind he's going to be behind Daniel Eberhardt. Daniel Eberhardt has already been out there for about 3 laps on his tires and has made up most 9 seconds on Anthony DeBarro. So this is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out for these guys that are just now coming to pit road. You see him moving to his pit box right now. He had to come all the way down to stall number 1. He's in his pit box to get 4 fresh tires and fuel. While he's doing that, Daniel Eberhardt's working off turn 4 right now. He's at the entrance to pit road. Anthony DeBarro is still sitting in his pit box waiting for his tires to get put on the car. And as they get ready to let go of that number 9 machine, Eberhardt has flown by and taken over that what will be the race lead.
As it stands right now, the table has been set. Your lead two-stop strategy, provided this race goes green to checkers, and then the rest of the field looks like they're going to be on a 3 or possibly 4-stop strategy. That's really interesting because, like we said, we're going to have to watch just how much time you give up, especially between a 2 and 3-stop strategy. So really, Brian, what I'm looking for is, can you manage, if you're on that 3-stop strategy, do you have the all-out speed to go after somebody who's running a 2-stop strategy? Because you're going to give up probably roughly 45, 50 seconds on pit road. So that's a lot of time to be giving up.
It really is, and I honestly don't know how this strategy is going to play out. This is this is one of those tracks where you just really can't ever guess it. Certainly, having the fresher tires more often allows you to really charge the racetrack, where you don't really have to manage your tires as much. If you're going to do this on 2 stops, you can't really afford to run hard on either run because you can't really afford to wear your tires out. If you're doing it on 3 stops, you can go out there every single run and charge this track as hard as you can and try to run as fast a lap as you can the entire run, because you're going to come back to pit road more frequently than those guys on 2. So you have that in your back pocket. But then, like you said, this track is a 40-second laps, and Scott Eckers is to pit road now, I'm hearing. Yes, he is. He's on pit road. But back to my point, this is a 40-second lap, 38, 39 if you're on fresh tires. That's a lot of time to make up if you're trying to do that 3-stop strategy. It's going to be very tough to see what happens, and Scott Eckers now is getting ready to move into his pit box to make his first stop of the night. He slides into his box cleanly. Looks like he's going to get service very easily as he's looking for 4 fresh tires and fuel. He's going to be even further behind Daniel Eberhardt and Anthony DeBarro because of how long he stayed out there. It's going to be very interesting, and it's going to be very telling to see the gap between those 3 drivers.
The ready to frag Toyota down and away, quick stop somewhere around the 15-second mark for the 70 of Scott Eckridge. Takes a little bit longer when you got to have all that fuel packed into the fuel cell. And as we see the 96 of Mitch Rollo go by on the outside, Rollo mired back in the 20th spot, but that's all going to change here in just a couple of moments as Nick Silver, Rhett McBride, who just came down for service. Nick Silver, I believe the last car still out on the racetrack right now that has yet to take service. We'll see where everybody cycles around. And big variety of strategies going on right now on the racetrack.
Yeah, a one-stop strategy is a very big stretch because you're having to push this car over 45 laps on each run. You're probably going to have to push more to about 46 or 47 laps on each run, which is a very long time at this 2.5-mile track. It's doable if you save gas from the drop of the green flag. I just don't know if you're going to be able to do it. It's going to be very close. It's going to be interesting to see. And right now, that looks to be the strategy that Nick Silver is employing. He's been out here this long. I just can't see him coming in at this point now, knowing that he's going to have to come back in at least one more time. If he stays out there for about another 12 laps or so, he could try to stretch it on just one. When he does come to pit road, Daniel Eberhardt has gotten out there to quite an advantage over the people that he was racing with. He's got about 6 seconds over Anthony DeBarro, who right now sits 15 seconds behind Daniel Eberhardt. So you can see just how much the fresh tires helped Daniel when he came to pit road. And yes, he's giving up time now, but he's not giving up as much time as they were when he came to pit road and got tires.
And so let's set the table for everybody at home that's trying to keep score. A monumental change has been happening throughout the entire top 20. We'll give you a quick rundown just before the halfway race break. The 51 of Nick Silver still out in the lead. The 90 of Daniel Eberhardt rides second. He's the first car on the 3-stop strategy. He's out by 3 seconds over the 88 of Kyle Tarasca, who's been in the top 5 all race. The 97 of Lionel Kalisto, possibly on a 4-stop strategy. He stopped really early, somewhere around lap number 20. He's going to be riding in that 4 spot at the moment. The 8 of Chad Cole slides up into 5th. He started 15th, and then a little bit from 6 to 10, we're looking at the 25 of Joseph Tice, the 99 of Stefan Marinak, 15 of Scott Simley in 8th, 9th to the 80 of Mike Kelly, then Anthony DeBarro, who led the large portion of the race thus far. He's riding in the 10th spot.
11th right now is Todd Witkowski. Scott Stenzel is P12. Thomas George started 25th. Right now he sits 13th. He was as high as 11th at one point before all these pit stops began. Dan Murray sits 14th. Mitch Rollo is 15th. Scott Eckridge, who ran up inside the top 5, much like Anthony DeBarro. Right now he's sitting back in the 16th position, mired about 25 seconds behind our race leader. Corbin Hemstreet is 17th. I'm sorry, there was actually a change right there. Christopher Hurlow is 17th, then Corbin Hemstreet. Rhett McBride is 19th, and Shane Ewing is the 20th position.
About 3 seconds a lap being lost right now between the 90 of Everhart and the 51 of Silver. Silver still out there on the track right now, coming this time by at the start-finish line to complete lap number 38. 38 of 95 in the book. So for those keeping track at home, the midpoint of the back stretch is going to be big time. The way that he's, well, yeah, you mentioned that just over whisper here, Brian. He's saving big time here is the 51 of Nick Silver, and one stop may get it done. I really don't know. I don't think you have enough speed over somebody trying to do it on a two-stop strategy. I really don't.
Well, it's going to be very interesting, but he's slowing down to about 145, 150 miles an hour through the corners, and even on old tires, you don't have to slow down that much here at Michigan. So he's definitely into a fuel conservation mode to see if he can stretch this first run as far as possible so that he can take it on. The interesting thing here is for those guys that are on three-stop strategies like Daniel Eberhardt, by the time it's time for Nick Silver to come back to pit road, Daniel should be coming right around the same time, so they'll be on an even fuel or tire strategy at that point, or at least be very close. If he can maintain this lead and maybe only give up the lead by a couple of seconds, this might work in his favor. It may not win the race for Nick Silver, but it could certainly give him a very good finish here tonight.
Well, almost like we're going road course racing here with the way these guys are on a wild variety of pit stop strategies. We have some guys on a 4-stop strategy, a 3-stop, a 2-stop, and then we have your leader Nick Silver, and we'll check the gap. He just crossed the start-finish line. It was 7.9 this time by. Coming across the start-finish line, it's going to be 6.5 seconds. So Eberhardt, the 90, starting to slow down a little bit. So Silver may be the guy we have to keep our eye on a little bit later in the race, because he's going to fall well afield once he comes down for service here and maybe just a few laps. But as it stands, Brian, I'm very impressed, and honestly, it's a very interesting thing to watch all night long.
Oh, absolutely. This is entertaining for me to watch, to see Nick Silver trying this strategy, and I applaud the effort, because this is an opportunity for him to win a race and potentially get himself into the chase later on this year in the Full Throttle Cup Series, so why not take that chance and go for it? I like this call. I like the risk. That's one thing I like about the chase format. It makes drivers take chances to go out and try to get the wins, and this is doing it. This is putting him in a position. He's still got a 5-second advantage over Daniel Eberhardt, and in my estimation, if he can make it to lap 47 on this run, or 48, he's going to make it to the end on fuel if he does this again. So this is, if he can maintain that lead, he's only losing about a second and a half a lap right now. At that rate, Daniel would be on top of him when it's time for Nick to come to pit road. If he can just stay close or even keep the lead by the time it's time for him to come to pit road, this could really work in his favor later on into this race. I'm really interested to see, though, regardless of what's going on with him, to see what Anthony DeBarro and Scott Eckrich do to try to make up time on Daniel Eberhardt. And now that's all gone. We have a caution here, our first caution of the night. This changes everything. It's the number 65 of Josh Chaney around on the back straightaway. He just got loose off turn 2, and our first caution of the night is out.
And the 65 of Josh Chaney going to clobber the outside wall, and that's going to actually replay going up on your screen. You're going to see what happened to the 65 of Josh Chaney. But we were just talking about it there in a private channel there, Brian. We think that might hurt Nick Silver, but I kind of disagree. I really think that's going to help him, because 2 or even 3 caution laps will equal 1 green flag lap. So really, this may put him right close inside of the fuel window. He may have to come down for fuel at 1 to go, though.
Well, this caution changes the strategy for everybody, because now where this caution is coming out, they still have about 50 laps to go. And much like you just said, when the caution comes 1 to go and it's time for them to get ready to go back green, they're probably going to be right around 46 laps to go. That could put them in a spot where they could come in and top off. All of these drivers come in and top off at the 1 to go and get fuel, and then you can make it to the end on 1 stop. I don't know, now that we've had this caution, that you still want to commit to that 2 or 3 stop strategy. I think at this point you need to just run this race out and see if you can make it to the end on fuel. I don't think you'll have enough time coming to pit road and trying to split this last run down the middle. I don't think you'd have enough time to catch a guy like Nick Silver, who we've already seen is going to try to stretch the fuel on 1 stop. You have to believe he's still going to commit to that. So if you're Daniel Eberhardt or Anthony DeBarro or any of these other drivers that were looking at multiple stops, I think you have to kind of commit to the strategy Nick Silver has.
I would almost have to say the same, because Nick Silver's trying to do it every way that he can, and it just seems to be the odd man out at the end of at the end of time, they're the last few intermediate tracks that I've seen him run well at, usually like the 1.5, like Charlotte or even Texas a year ago. Actually, a little over a year ago. As the leaders get down pit road there, Brian, we're going to catch the 51 of Nick Silver hitting his pit stop first. He started 14th, so he's going to be the first of the leaders in. Right side's up on his gain Ford Fusion. And the crew around to the left side now. Left side being jacked up. Going to get a full tank and 4 tires, and he's going to be down and away already. Going to have to see what happens with the 90 Eberhardt because he's in that second stall. Will he beat Daniel out? And indeed, yes, he will. Eberhardt going to be second off of pit road of those guys that were up front. Doug Roth in the 43 missed his pit stall. So he just did a drive-through, but as it stands right now, the 51 of Nick Silver going to be out front. But like you said, Brian, I really think that he's going to have to come down at 1 to go to really make sure that he can get all the way to lap 95.
Well, as we stand right now, we're at 51 laps to go, and you have at least another 2 laps of pacing, so you're looking at 49, maybe 48 when they go back green, depending on when the officials decide to let them loose again. So if you do 48 laps, that's almost right on top of where it looked like Nick Silver was trying to get to before. Now, granted, he was saving pretty heavily to try to get to that point. You almost have to think... I really think he had no problems with making it with the way he was saving, but... we talked about it earlier, or at least you brought it up earlier, Justin. This race always comes down to some kind of a fuel mileage gamble, and at this point, you're going to see a handful of drivers that are going to be trying to do that. Nick Silver is not going to be alone in that battle. It's going to be very interesting to see if anybody comes in and tries to top off right before they're about to go back green.
Now, if you're Nick Silver, you are the race leader. You've come through, you made your service, you already got 4 tires and fuel. You know you can go 42 laps, or 43 laps, excuse me. Do you come down at 1 to go and then top it off to guarantee that you may know that you may make it to the finish, especially if you can save that fuel?
Well, I certainly think that's something to think about. I mean, he didn't have the speed to get up there and challenge Daniel and Anthony DeBarro, or at least he didn't have the speed in the earlier stages of the race. He may elect to go for the track position. There's so many risks versus rewards. If he comes in and he tops off right now and we have another caution in 5 laps, he's given up all that track position for nothing. So you have to really weigh those options and decide which one is the best way for you. We just went 42 laps green flag, but we also know cautions breed cautions.
And as Nick Silver paces at the front of the field, the 1 of Nick Casto looks like he's going to try to take the wave around on his machine. He fell a lap down there during the cycle of pit stops there. And it was really interesting to watch there during the first of the race. We possibly look like we're going to come down and get 1 to go this time. So really, it may be interesting to see who of the leaders will come down and really try to go from here to the checkers, because you will save somewhere in the ballpark of about 30 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we need to expect to see some of these drivers do. I don't know if you'll see too many at the front do it. Nick Silver would be the one if there was anybody inside that top 10 that I'd expect to come to pit road and top off right now. And as they come around to the entryway to pit road, it does not appear Nick Silver's coming, nor does anybody else inside the top 10 appear to be looking. I don't really see anybody making any efforts to come to pit road. So these drivers either feel very comfortable that they can make it to the end from where they're at, or they are not even thinking about this race going green to the finish. We do have one guy back there, Ross Cato, coming to pit road in the number 12 machine. A couple of other guys right behind him coming in the top off. So a handful of drivers at the back of the pack going to come in and get some fuel right quick. But none of your race leaders up front going to do it. Most of those drivers apparently have felt like this is not our only caution of the night.
We're going to come around and take lap 48 at the green flag, and we'll wait until the restart settles out before we give you the Midway race break rundown through the field. But as it stands, Nick Silver, Daniel Eberhardt, Stefan Marinak, Anthony DeBarro, the 88 of Kyle Taraska will complete your top 5, and the guys that have been right up front, they're outside the top 10.
Yeah, and this caution hurt those guys, Anthony DeBarro, Scott Eckrich, because now not only are they trapped back in the middle of the pack, but they didn't have a chance to make it or take advantage of their fresh tires. So they're going to have a loss of track position, and they're going to have to fight their way through this once again. They're not going to be able to try to do any type of tire saving right here if they want to get back up there. Daniel Eberhardt's on the front row. When they go back green, we know he's going to charge for the race lead. If they want to have any chance of keeping up with him, they're going to have to go pretty quickly on the restart as well. And
as we get ready to go, the field side by side coming out of turn number 4, very slowly behind the American Childhood Cancer Organization pace car. We're going to make the hard left-hand turn down the pit road, field in the hands of Nick Silver, and he wastes no time. He hit the restart zone, and we are back underway underneath the green flag, and it's already a 4 or 5 car length gap between himself and now the 99 is Stefan Marinak, who's to the inside of the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt in 1.
Yeah, Stefan Marinak got a good restart right there. He's able to squeeze to the inside of Daniel Eberhardt. He almost got into the door of him off turn 2. That made Daniel have to move up the track. That opens the door for Anthony DeBarro as they work down this back straightaway. He had an opportunity to make it 3 wide down the back straightaway. He decided not to do it. He's going to stay in line behind the number 99 machine as they work down into turns 3 and 4, trying to see what they can do. Daniel Eberhardt still trying to hang on tight on the outside line. He squeezes the number 99 machine and gets a good run down the front straightaway here, trying to take that second position back. And here comes Chad Cole to the inside of Anthony DeBarro as they work down into turn 1. He's trying to take that 4th position away from Anthony.
The outside line looks like it's working right now on the restart on brand new tires. Chad Cole going to have to let out of the throttles. DeBarro just pitched him right off out of turn number 2. Said no way, no how. He's going to slide back up to the 4th spot. And the 99 of Marinak looks to the inside of Eberhardt, but he's got to be careful. DeBarro's knocking at the door, looking to the outside for 3rd.
Yeah, here comes DeBarro trying now to challenge Stefan Marinak. Stefan has a problem off turn 4. It looked like he got a little loose. He had to check up out of the gas. He's going to lose a ton of time. He's on the outside 3 wide of Kyle Taraska, Chad Cole. Now continuing to fall back. He's going to give up at least 4, maybe 5 or 6 positions before he's finally able to get settled back in. He's behind Chad Cole now on the outside line, trying to get his momentum back up and trying to do something here on the outside line to get those positions back and try to march his way back to the front. He's going to settle in, I believe it'll be around the 8th position when it's all said and done. Right in front of him, though, Chad Cole was battling hard on the outside line, trying to hold off Todd Witkowski in the number 18 machine. These guys are battling very hard for that number 6th and 7th position as they work off turn 4. Chad Cole trying to get that run down the front straightaway. Does not have the run he needs. That's going to allow Todd Witkowski to have the advantage going off into 1.
Battle for the race lead shaping up. Eberhardt's right there inside of a car length, looking to the inside of Nick Silver through turns 1 and 2. We'll stay with this battle, though, a little bit back. The 24, Thomas George, looking at, he's going to go to work on the 8 of Chad Cole, the outside line, starting to back up now after about 3 or 4 laps here on the restart, working lap number 51. We're just past halfway. We'll get the Midway race break completed in just a couple of moments. George now to the inside of Marinak. Cole finally slips down to the inside behind Todd Witkowski in the 18 as Cole very loose off of turn number 4, and it's side by side again on the front straightaway.
And Thomas George took advantage of Chad Cole getting sideways off the corner. He took advantage of that loss of momentum. He looks to the inside of Chad Cole, dives it off into turn 1, trying to see if he can make the pass. Not able to clear him quite yet. He drives really hard through the middle of the corner, almost makes contact with the 18 machine. Not able to make that pass on Chad Cole right now. Chad's got the draft and the advantage down the back straightaway on the outside line, trying to carry that momentum into the corner. But Thomas George once again sails it off into the corner. Now tries to slide up and cut the 8 machine off, not able to do it. Chad Cole once again gets a good run off the corner. Todd Witkowski has a problem off the corner. That slows the momentum of both him and Thomas George and allows Chad Cole to look to the outside of the 18 as they work down the front straightaway.
As they go off towards the turn number 1 at 209 miles an hour, does the 8 of Chad Cole. Looks to the outside of Witkowski, who's going to drive it in there and try to do the sprint car slide job, if you will, across the nose of the DeWalt Chevrolet of Chad Cole. The 24, Thomas George, right there all over the back bumper of Witkowski. The 99 of Marinak also involved, and the 70 Eckrich. 5-way battle going on right now for that 7th spot.
Meanwhile, while all that was going on, there was a change at the front, and Daniel Eberhardt took the lead back from Nick Silver, and Anthony DeBarro just took 2nd place from Nick Silver. And we have a caution now to throw another wrench into the mix, a caution towards the back of the pack. That's the 03 of John Fowler and the 48 machine, I'm hearing, of Kevin Linden around off turn 4.
Get a look at it here for you in just a moment. I can tell you right now, the 48 of Kevin Linden went up and over as well. We'll get that covered for you in just a minute. As we slow things down, we'll take this opportunity to slow down of our own once again. Coming to you live, the Pure Michigan 190 coming out of turn number 4 under caution, everybody, here at the Michigan International Speedway. You're watching iRacing Live and LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
The race Raceway Laguna Seca this weekend and driving in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Right before this, on Tuesday, we announced that I'll be driving in the Indy 500, in the 100th running of the Indy 500 for KV Racing Technologies, sponsored by Indiana Donor Network, and a campaign that's all about organ donation and honoring those that were organ donors. Yeah, excited to be for the month of May that's around the corner and driving the number 25 Driven to Save Lives Chevrolet for KV Racing Technologies. We're actually driving in the iRacing 24 Hours of Daytona, which was a long 24 hours. My eyes were a bit sore after that, staring at the screen for a long time, but one of the teammates there has helped me actually design the livery for the car, and really thankful to Michael Peters for all the time he's put into designing what I think is a really cool looking livery. I've actually been using the iAdvanced Motorsport Simulator that Darren Manning set up. Beautiful system, beautiful setup. So it's as realistic as you can get, and be running a few laps to get the visual references down when we hit the track on May 16th. Yeah, I'd encourage everyone to check out and follow the number 25 Driven to Save Lives car in May, and also visit the driventosavelives.org website, where you can find out a little bit more about my story and also Justin's story, which is the reason why this all became. I never even knew about organ donation, never really gave it much thought until last August when he lost Justin, and his heroic act of being an organ donor saved 5 lives. Really got to see the impact that was able to make, and through a very hard time, that was probably the one shining light out of that, was just his act and his selfless act, and just the impact that people since that have similar stories, similar tragedies that happen in their life, and they've been through a very similar thing, and also people reaching out and saying that they became a donor because of that, and that goes beyond saving 5 lives. That could save more than that. So it's just carrying on Justin's legacy, and just really happy to be promoting that foundation.
And welcome back to the Irish Hills of Michigan, bringing you the Pure Michigan 190 here for the Michigan International Speedway for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. My name is Justin Rosenau. Joining me in the tower is Brian Macklin. And as we're past the halfway point of tonight's race, let's take a look at our iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and more. And up front right now is going to be the 9 of Anthony Navarro, and restarting second will be the 51 of Nick Silver. The 90 of Daniel Eberhardt will restart third. Fourth to the 80 of Mike Kelly. The 25 of Joseph Tice will round out the top 5. The 8 of Chad Cole will be 6th. The 7th spot to the 88 of Kyle Taraska. The 24 of Thomas J. George will restart 8th. 9th spot goes to the 18 of Todd Witkowski. And the 99 of Stefan Marinak will complete the top 10.
Sky Beckwith right now sits in the 11th position, trying to rebound after getting caught back. Is in the 14th position. Mitch Rollo is 15th. Dwayne Vincent sits in the 16th position. He started 37th tonight. He's worked his way up into the top 20. 17th is Christopher Hurlow. Shane Ewing is 18th. 19th goes Rhett McBride, and Sean Bounty rounds out the top 20.
21st to the 3 of Greg Evans. The 43 of Doug Roth will be 22nd. 23rd to the 54 of Tim Matthews. The 12 of Ross Cato will restart 24th. 25th to the 30 of Jose Telez. The 91 of Steve Kotzchok will be 26th. 27th to the 20 of A.J. Browning. The 06 of Tom Dreiling will be 28th. The 29th spot goes to the 1 of Sean Castle, and rounding out the top 30 will be the 41 of Adam Littell.
Michael Priester sits in the 31st position. Dan Murray is 32nd. Scott Stenzel is 33rd in the last car on the lead lap. Kevin Linden sits 34th, 2 laps down. John Fowler is 35th. 36th goes to Josh Cheney. Douglas Wyatt is 37th. 38th is Joey Gattina. And Carl Shedd is 39th. And that is your 39 car field here tonight at Michigan. And That is your iRacing Midway race break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iracing.com to sign up today. You can use the LSRTV promo code by entering PR-2016 LSRTV when you register for a new iRacing membership to get the late model free of charge, along with 13 cars and 14 tracks included with the first-time subscription. And Justin, we're about to go back green, and we're really going to see some intensity pick up now. We know fuel mileage isn't an issue. This is really about to get exciting.
Fuel mileage all but out the window at this point of the race. The field in the hands of Anthony DeBarro. The pace car dives to pit road, and we're into the restart zone already. DeBarro back on the loud pedals. He stands on it, comes up to the gearbox, and we are back under the green flag. Power out and ahead and clears the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt here on the restart. Eberhardt has his hands full with the 80 of Mike Kelly looking to the outside quarter panel. Kelly decides to give it up a little bit and look back to the inside of Eberhardt off of turn number 2. And as trouble, one car around. The 97 of Lionel Callisto goes around, and many cars involved on the back straightaway.
Turn 2, Justin, the 97 had a little bit of an issue moving through the middle of the corner. It looked like he got checked up coming off the corner when the 70 of Scott Eckridge got checked up. It was just a chain reaction. Scott Eckridge got loose. Lionel had nowhere to go, got ran into the back of by, I believe it was Dwayne Vincent. That sent him around, and at least 5, 6, maybe 7 cars got caught up in that after the fact. Huge wreck here on the back straightaway. That's our third caution of the night, and took out a lot of really fast race cars right there.
97 of Callisto going to be one car that's involved. The 13 of Dwayne Vincent going to get some damage on the tail end of his race car as well. The 97, again, Callisto being the main reason there. The 32 involved. I see the 87 Bounty. The 43 of Doug Roth going to collect a piece of that as well. He's going to catch the outside wall. The 30 as well going to be involved in that, and a couple other cars get some aftermath issues there on the backstretch, but at least 7 or 8 cars involved here with heavy damage to about 5 or 6 of them as we underneath the caution flag on lap number 58 here on the restart here, as cautions look like they're starting to breed more cautions here for the Michigan International Speedway.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing, and that's why I believe Nick Silver a couple of cautions ago decided not to come in and top off that number 51 machine when he could have, and maybe put himself in a position to make it to the end on fuel, because now he has the track position he needs to stay up here and maybe contend for the race win in a different fashion. He's sitting second right now behind Anthony DeBarro. Looks like he's got a pretty good car. We didn't see it in the early stages of the race, maybe because he started back in the 14th position and just didn't have what he needed to work his way up through the field, but he took advantage of that caution coming out when he was going to try to make this a one-stop strategy. It worked out in his favor. He was the race leader when it happened, and he's been able to keep that track position ever since. And now that we're starting to get all these cautions, he's certainly going to be able to stay up there for even longer. Very interested to see, though, what happens with Daniel Eberhardt. He had a slow pit stop when we went to commercial break. I was watching the pit stops, and he had a really slow stop. And really had some issues there. He was able to stay up inside the top 3, but I heard that he was not very happy with his pit crew after that stop.
Certainly not, but this broadcast of the Pure Michigan 190 is going to be presented by Gary Mercer Trucking, established in 1982. Gary Mercer Trucking has the experience and expertise that your freight deserves. Our specialty is in over-the-road, less-than-load, and full truckload freight services between Ontario, Canada, and all points in the United States. And as it stands right now, Anthony DeBarro is still going to be your leader after that aborted restart, give or take. It was half a lap, if that. And then the 51 of Nick Silver in second, the 90 of Eberhardt in third. Those 3 guys look like they're the ones going to be the cars to beat here in the late stages, unless we get some weird tire strategy involved late in this one. But Brian, as it looks, I mean, we have new faces entering the top 5. How about the 25 of Joseph Tice and the 80 of Mike Kelly? They've been lurking a little bit further afield, but now they're starting to make their run towards the front of the pack.
Well, you have to believe for Joseph Tice, that surprise victory at Charlotte a couple of weeks ago really had to give him some confidence and probably a lot of momentum for this team. He came out there and all of a sudden was in a position to win that race when all kinds of chaos ensued on the last couple of restarts. He was able to take advantage of all that and move into a position, and then actually ended up winning the race, giving himself a spot in the chase later on this season. And like I said, that's got to be a confidence builder for that number 25 machine and everybody that works around him, and he's showing it. He's running really good here tonight, like you you mentioned, and certainly could get up there and maybe challenge for yet another victory here in the Full Throttle Cup Series. Mike Kelly as well is doing a very good job. He started in the 8th position here tonight and currently sits up there in the 4th position. All these drivers having some really good runs. Thomas George, I hate to bring him up yet again because we talk about it seems like just about every week. He gets caught up in problems week in and week out. He's having a decent run, at least so far, sitting in the 7th position. He started back in 25th. He really needs to have a good run to get his season back on track. So very excited to see him doing well at this point of the race. Hopefully he can keep or hold on to that and have a good finish here tonight.
Yeah, he really needs it, but let's also give a call to the driver that's in the 11th spot, driving the number 69 Custom Gaming Garage Chevrolet. Corbin Hibstreet in the 69. He's started 38th and had some issues 1 week ago when the server issues happened. He's got a chance to redeem himself here thus far, and he's redeemed himself quite nicely. He's up almost 30 spots. He's plus 27, 38th to 11th there, and he's within striking distance of contending up inside the top 5 for the first time tonight. And for Corbin, he's had a run of bad issues just like the 24 of Thomas George. These guys really do need a strong finish here as we start to work towards the later stages, and we're starting to run out of time because we're inching ever so slightly towards the end of the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to believe we're already getting close to that point of the season where you don't have time to get into the chase. You have to make these races count now. If you're in a battle trying to get in on points, you have to do everything you can to get as good a finish as possible week in and week out. And if you're one of those guys that's on the outside looking in and you know you're not going to get in on points, you have to start taking chances and going for the victories. And we've talked about it over the last few weeks. This summer stretch of tracks has a host of unique style tracks where a lot of different drivers have an opportunity. We're going to be heading out west to the Sonoma Raceway here in just a couple of weeks when we head out there for the road course racing. That could certainly bring some different faces into the picture and give somebody that you wouldn't normally see run well at a track here like Michigan or one of the cookie cutter tracks, might give them an opportunity to win. And then you have the super speedway of Daytona coming up. You have Kentucky, you have the flat in New Hampshire, Indianapolis. We're also heading out to Pocono, and then Watkins Glen. There's a handful of tracks where it's very unique and the driving styles are completely different from your typical cookie cutter tracks, and it could allow for some of these guys that we don't typically talk about to have a chance to win and get themselves a spot in the chase.
All right, if you're Anthony DeBarro or Nick Silver, it's time to pull them belts tight once more because we're getting ready to fire them off just one more time. Field in the hands of DeBarro and the 51 of Nick Silver as we're working off of turn number 4. Slowly entering into the restart zone, watching for that pace car driver to cut left very hard. There he goes. And DeBarro's going to wait, and then he goes. We're back underneath the green flag once again, and DeBarro stacked everybody up in the restart box. And that's going to mean a side-by-side battle for second as Eberhardt looks to the inside, and Silver's just going to drag race around him around the outside.
Yeah, Nick Silver was able to carry that momentum and able to clear Daniel Eberhardt, but Daniel gets a good run through the middle of turns 1 and 2. Now looks to the inside of the number 51 machine as they work off turn 2. Was not able to carry that momentum the way he was hoping, and he's got to settle back in line for third for the moment. He had a really good run through the middle of the corner, but when he got caught up to the back bumper of Nick Silver, he had to check up and let out of it, and that opens the door, and Joseph Tice is a little sideways in the middle of 3 and 4. Looks like he had some help from Thomas George, and as they work off turn 4, they're 3 wide. Everybody's trying to split and get around these guys that were a little off the pace. Looked like Thomas George got into the back of the number 25 machine as they went off into turn 3, and now they're 3 wide going off into turn 1. All kinds of craziness going on back there. These guys are trying not to wreck. These guys are racing hard now.
Oh, the 25 of Joseph Ty has got a little bit of a hit down there in turns 1 and 2. Sean Casto, the 5 of Dan Murray, going to come clear across the nose there. The 70 of Scott George as well. Poor Gabriel Wood would be very happy. It looked like they were 43 wide on the front straightaway the last time by, but man, I tell you what, these guys are really going at it tooth and nail on the front straightaway. Eckrich inside of George, and that's going to be for that A spot on the racetrack. And Eckrich going to dive it down to the bottom. He's going to try to pull the slide job. You see him coming up the racetrack right now. Will George cross him over off of turn number 2? He's looking at the inside. He's there, but not going to quite pull it out just there, and he's right on the back bumper. He's trying to bring along the 13 Haviland Chevrolet of the defending Cup Series champion and Dwayne Vincent, along with the 99 of Stefan Marinak.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys know they're starting to run out of time. When they cross the stripe right here, they're going to have 30 laps to go. Race leader right now, Anthony DeBarro, holds about a 4-car length advantage over Daniel Eberhardt. Not really much going on right now at the front. Those guys are just trying to run in each other's tire tracks and see who can run the faster laps. And right now, that's Anthony DeBarro holding on to a steady lead over Daniel Eberhardt and Nick Silver. You have to keep looking at this battle back here. You got Dwayne Vincent and Thomas George. Scott Eckert's trying to rebound and work his way back up towards the front. Right now, he sits in the 8th position. Stefan Marinak also back there trying to mix it up. He was up front at one point in this race as well, and right now sits back in the 10th position. In the 11th position, trying to work his way back towards the front. All these drivers trying to get everything they can get in the closing stages of this race. They know they're running out of time and they have to start making these moves now, and they're racing really hard trying to do that.
Time starting to run out here in the Irish Hills at Michigan International Speedway. Everybody pretty much single filed out through the top 10 for the moment. First battle going to be on the racetrack for roughly that 15, 16 spot, and that's going to give way a little bit back, and it's going to be closer to around the 22nd spot. It's going to be the 20 of A.J. Browning inside the 42 of Scott Stenzel, the 06 of Tom Dreiling, also going to be in that battle along with the 41 of Adam Blattel, and then right behind them as well, the 54 of Tim Matthews going to try to recover. He's been a little bit mired back there, these 5 cars going at it for that 22nd spot. Everybody just trying to gather themselves and hope they get another restart because these guys are already 6 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, absolutely. They've lost a ton of time back there. Joseph Tice all the way back to the 18th position after his moment with Thomas George a handful of laps ago. There was a little bit of communication between him and Thomas George right when that moment happened. They were not happy with one another, and they voiced that displeasure for a couple of moments, but they seem to have let that go for the time being. Joseph Tice is the big loser in that as he fell all the way back to 18th, as I just mentioned. Thomas George still sits in the 9th position right now, and he's right in the front of the field. Anthony DeBarro maintaining about a 2-car length advantage over Daniel Eberhardt, and then you have about 4 or 5 car lengths back to Nick Silver, who's doing a great job staying up inside the top 5 since he got that lucky break with the caution coming out and giving him this track position that he needed to put himself in a position to try to win this race.
As we enter the closing stages, it's still Anthony DeBarro out by a quarter second over the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt, and then a little bit further back is the 51 of Nick Silver. But we're going to take this opportunity to take our final commercial break of the evening. We're going to go LSRTV nonstop, coming to you live, so you won't miss a moment of the action in the Irish Hills of Michigan. The Michigan International Speedway. You're watching iRacing Live and LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
While lions are notorious for their voracious appetites, they spend a great deal of time feeding other creatures. In fact, lions will take great care to ensure there's plenty to go around. As you can see, they keep giving with utter ferocity. Bravo, lions, and bon appetit. Do good, be a lion.
Coming to you live from the Irish Hills of Michigan, coming around this time by. It'd be 20 laps to go. Daniel Eberhardt inside of a car length with the 9, Anthony DeBarro for the race lead. He's looking to the inside on the start-finish line. And this will be your Sim Vibe by Sim Experience, 20 to go.
Yeah, Sim Experience is a premier motion simulator manufacturer with expertise in electronics, engineering, manufacturing, and software development. Their products are utilized worldwide in driver training facilities, homes, simulation centers, and race driver development programs. And Justin, with 20 laps to go here at in the Irish Hills at Michigan International Speedway, we have a really good battle shaping up at the front of this field. I don't think you're going to see anybody coming to pit road for fresh tires this time. They're going to run this thing out to the end and see who can keep the tires on their car the longest. Anthony DeBarro hanging on to about a car length and a half, 2 car length advantage over Daniel Eberhardt, and Mike Kelly has all of a sudden shown his face up there in the 3rd position. He's about a half a second behind these two, trying to battle his way into the picture and see if he can't steal a win.
Yeah, Mike Kelly, where did he come from? Driving the number 80. He restarted around that 5th or 6th spot. He's up to 3rd already. He's right there knocking at the door. He's about 3 car lengths off the back end of the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt, who himself is about 2 car lengths off the back end of the 9 of Anthony DeBarro for the race lead. Half a second covers the gap between the entire top 3. From there on back is another 6/10 back to the 88 of Kyle Tarasca, the 51 of Nick Silver, who was leading for a while there through the middle stages of the race. He's faded back. He's in the 5th spot, and he's under attack from the 6th place runner, the 8 of Chad Cole. He's right there. He's knocking at the back bumper. Can Chad Cole get around the 51 of Nick Silver?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here between these two. You got Nick Silver trying to hold off Chad Cole and a host of other drivers as they work off turn 2. Chad Cole really starting to work his way up there. Scott Eckrich now up there as well. He's starting to work his way slowly but surely back into the picture. He sits in the 7th position right now, right behind these guys, trying to make something happen, trying to get back into this thing. He was up front racing for the race lead earlier on until the caution came out around the lap 42, 43 range and caught him back in some traffic. He just has not been able to get back to the front like his other 2 competitors, Anthony DeBarro, Daniel Eberhardt. He's just not been able to climb his way up through the field as quickly as he'd like, but doing a good job marching his way inside the top 10 right now. Dwayne Vincent as well back there in the 8th position. All these guys starting to have a good run. We have a 3-wide battle right behind them. That number 1 machine of Sean Casto trying to make things a little intense as he was trying to squeeze to the inside of Scott Simley, and Mitch Rollo off turn 2 was not able to make it happen, and now he's going to sit in a line behind these guys. Dan Murray on the bottom once again looks like he's on fresh tires. He's got to be on fresh tires because he just passed about 5 cars through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, the 5 day, he's got a long way to go and a short time to get there. 16 laps to go at the strike gap inside of a car length between the 9 of DeBarro, the 90 of Eberhardt. Those two going at it right now in each other's tire tracks. The 80 of Mike Kelly right down, glued to that yellow line, is just right there closing the gap once again. And the next 4 cars right behind them going to be the 88 of Tarasca, the 51 of Nick Silver, the 8 of Chad Cole, the 70 of Scott Eckrich, all starting to close in. This may be a 7-way battle for the win as we come around this time by. It'll be 15 laps to go.
15 laps to go, and one thing you have to think, if Daniel Eberhardt starts getting up there and racing with Anthony DeBarro, that's when it will become a 7 or 8 or 9 car battle for the race lead, because they're going to start slowing each other down. They're going to bring these guys to them. They have to be very careful when they're racing. They've already got Mike Kelly right there, just a handful of car lengths behind them. If they start racing hard, that's going to make things interesting. If they bring anybody else into the mix, that's really going to make things crazy. As you see right now, they're still about a second behind all these guys. 1.2 seconds right now is the difference back to Kyle Tarasco, who's trying to hold off Nick Silver. Got a good run down the back straightaway, but was not able to challenge. And here comes Dan Murray once again on those fresh tires. He's a lap down, trying to work his way through these guys, trying to get up there and maybe get one of his laps back. He's a couple of laps down right now. Actually, he's just 1 lap down right now, but he needs to try to battle. Right now, he's in the lucky dog position, but if he can get it back the hard way, that would be even better for him. He's able to work past Kyle Tarasco on those fresh tires. It mixes things up a little bit. Chad Cole just got passed by Scott Eckrich now for what will be the 7th position. Scott Eckrich is going to move into 6th, and here comes Chad Cole back to the inside, trying to take that position back, and now here comes the 18 as well on fresh tires. Going to make it 3 wide off into turn 3.
3 wide, and they almost touched doors down there in turns number 3. The 8 of Chad Cole right there in the middle. had to give up a little bit of ground to the 70 of Scott Eckridge, who himself got a little bit loose. A bunch of air guns stacked up on each other's spoilers there by the 18 of Todd Witkowski. Those two drag race across the start-finish line right now. It'll be the 70 of Eckridge by a nose as Chad Cole has to tuck back in line. He's not going to get it done for that 6th spot, but he's right there and closing in. Rolls it through the center of the corner very nicely as they set sail off of turn number 2.
Yeah, and as all that's going on, these lap cars are really playing havoc into this battle for the race lead. Anthony DeBarro had opened his gap up to about 0.4 of a second on Daniel Eberhardt, and when the 5 of Dan Murray came in there and started making moves to get by these guys, he was able to, Daniel Eberhardt was able to close up on that gap just a little bit, and now we see the 18 trying to squeeze through here on fresh tires. He's going to dive to the inside of Anthony DeBarro as they work down this long front straightaway. Anthony DeBarro obviously is not going to challenge him at all, but this again allows for Daniel Eberhardt to have an opportunity to close up on him. He's down to less than a car length behind him as they work through turns 1 and 2, and Mike Kelly right behind them in 3rd, trying to do everything he can to hang on and give himself an opportunity here. We're at 12 laps to go right now. They're starting to run out of time, Justin. These guys really got to start making some moves if they're going to challenge that 9 car.
They're starting to work their way up there. The 4-car pack right behind our top 3, really starting to close the gap. I mean, it was around 1.9 seconds or so between Kyle Taraska and Anthony DeBarro at one point. Now there's back up to around 1.25 seconds. We'll see what the gap is this time by at the stripe. And it's going to go up a little bit. It's going to be 1.281, was a 1.215. So Kyle Taraska, Nick Silver, the rest of the boys back there, they need to find the extra special sauce if they want to try to get back up here, as it looks like is Anthony DeBarro really starting to set sail. He's opening up the gap. Once again, we saw this around lap 25, lap 30. Anthony DeBarro just started driving away from the 90 Eberhardt and everybody else. It looks like DeBarro right now, the fastest car on the racetrack right now, coming to the 10 to go sign being given by the flagman as they drag race now on the front straightaway.
Yeah, he's opening that gap up now. It's about 4 car lengths over the number 90 of Daniel Eberhardt. Dan is doing everything he can trying to run down Anthony DeBarro, but as you mentioned, Anthony just really seems to have this thing figured out once the tires start to go away, and as this race gets longer into this green flag run, the more that 9 begins to check out. He's maintaining right now about a 4 car length advantage. Daniel got a really good run through the middle of 1 and 2, was able to close the gap, and did not lose any time down the back straightaway here. He's able to get that gap down to about 2 car lengths. But you see in turn 3, he tried to back the corner up. He just did not get back in the gas the way he needed to. Actually, he did a pretty good job right there, able to keep that gap right around 2 to 3 car lengths, but he's going to need to make up more time than that. Anthony DeBarro got a good run off the corner and was able to open that gap up just a little bit. So Dan, it looks like he's trying different things, but it just doesn't seem to be working out for him right now. You got to believe less than 10 to go, though. He's going to keep searching.
Wonder the 80 of Mike Kelly has a little something that he's held on to, just kind of saving his stuff, waiting for the end to come along, and he's really issue. Open up the gap again over the 9 Anthony DeBarro. DeBarro starting to try to drive away. It's going to be 4 or 5 car lengths now off of turn number 4. We'll check the gap at the stripe as we're coming down this time by. Looks like it'll be 8 laps to go for the driver, the number 9 right now, the 70 of Scott Eckridge. Big troubles from here. He's trying to battle for the spot with Nick Silver, and he will get around Nick Silver. He's got his sight sets now on the 88 of Kyle Taraska, but the 51 of Nick Silver trying to come back on him. The gap at the front right now, 0.257, just over a quarter second right now. Nick Silver in the battle with the 70 of Scott Eckridge. These guys trying to change it up a little bit as the tires really starting to fade. Going to be somewhere around 40 laps or so on these tires when the checker flag falls.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, it appears that for these drivers sitting back there around that 4th, 5th, 6th position, time has just about ran out for them. They're still about 1.3, 1.5 seconds behind. Falls to 1.6. So these drivers, it appears their tires have went away, and they have certainly ran out of time to try to challenge for the race lead. So they're going to do everything they can to fight for a top 5 position. Right now, Kyle Taraska and Scott Eckridge have those positions. Nick Silver and Chad Cole, they want those positions. So as you see, Chad Cole now works to the inside of the 51. That's going to be a battle for the 6th position. Not going to be much of a battle. Chad Cole dives it off into the corner and takes that position away from Nick Silver. That's going to move Chad into 6th and move Nick Silver back to 7th. And back up front, it looks like Daniel Eberhardt is trying everything he can still. He was at 0.225 behind Anthony DeBarro last time by. It goes up to 2 points or 0.277, so just not able to do what he needs to do right now. And Mike Kelly not really gaining any time either.
7 is Nick Silver and Chad Cole still going side by side out of the turn number 4 the last time around the 51, and Nick Silver dove to the inside of the 8 of Chad Cole, and this time by into turn number 3, the 51 of Nick Silver will complete the pass. Chad Cole going to try to do the old sprint car crossover off of turn number 4. He's right there on the back bumper of Silver. He's going to look to the inside coming around this time by. It'll be 5 laps to go here from the Michigan International Speedway.
Yeah, not able to do anything down this long front. A car coming in with fresh tires right behind Chad Cole. That's Scott Stenzel in the 42 machine. He's been on pit road and gotten fresh tires, so he's going to slice and dice his way through our leaders right now, and you're going to see a huge speed difference between these guys trying to hold him off. As I'm hearing, there was a little bit of an issue with the number 90 up there. Justin, you said you saw some issues with Daniel Eberhardt.
Yeah, it looked like the handling really going away on his number 90 machine. He got very wicked loose off of turn number 2 the last time by. Just was all over on the back straightaway, just trying to keep that car gathered up and going straight. With this lower downforce package, these drivers really have to, push each other to the limit here to try to get these cars to go where they need them to go on the racetrack. And this time by it, we took the 4-to-go signal this last time around, and Eberhardt, to his credit, he got a better run this time out of turn number 2 as they sail off down the max straightaway. The gap starting to shrink a little bit. This may be Eberhardt's last gasp attempt to try to get to the 9 of Anthony DeBarro, as DeBarro's been strong all season long with a few wins already on the docket. He's all but assured of making the chase right now as he come across the start-finish line. It'll be 3 laps to go. Still going to be Eberhardt and DeBarro for the win, but that gap was closed by 1/10 of a second. Did Eberhardt find something a couple of laps ago as these drivers come through turn number 1 and 2, and the 42 of Scott Stenzel may be a very big factor in this. He's on fresher tires, and he's running down the leaders on the back straightaway.
Yes, he is. He'll probably zoom by them as they work through turns 3 and 4. This time we have a nice little battle going on for that 4th position right now. Kyle Taraska battling with Scott Eckers, trying to hold him off. They're side by side through 3 and 4, and as we talked about that, here comes the number 42 on those fresh tires, getting ready to start making his way past Daniel Eberhardt and Anthony DeBarro as they work down this front straightaway. He didn't gain as much as I expected him to through 3 and 4. He's right on the back bumper of Daniel Eberhardt. Expect to see something happen down here in 1 and 2. Dan has closed that gap down to just over 0.2 of a second behind, but with 3 laps to go, he needs to be closing that gap even quicker. Have to believe maybe Scott Stenzel is going to hang up behind these guys and let them race behind them here. He doesn't appear to be trying to do anything with them. He actually backed way off and let them have quite a big advantage. He's showing a lot of respect and a lot of class right here. He's going to let the race leaders race it out. Got to really give him some props there, because that's really cool.
Out of turn number 4, Anthony DeBarro going to see what he wants to see. It's the white flag, the Sim Vibe, 1 to go, waving in the air as Anthony DeBarro comes across the line right now. It's 1 lap to go. Can Eberhardt get there? The 42 with Scott Stenzel trying to let these guys race it out as they're right now in turns number 1 and 2. The gap, 1 car length. Eberhardt looks to the inside slightly, and DeBarro going to shut the door out of turn number 2. Eberhardt, last gasp attempt. Does he have anything for DeBarro? The gap, 1 car length as they drag race down the back straightaway. Here's the move. Eberhardt to the bottom. DeBarro blocks. They move up the racetrack and out of turn number 4. It will be Anthony DeBarro off of turn number 4. Does Eberhardt have anything on the straightaway? And Eberhardt into the wall. Checker flag in the air. It'll be Anthony DeBarro winning the Pure Michigan 190 from the Michigan International Speedway.
And what a last gasp attempt by Daniel Eberhardt to try to take that win away from Anthony DeBarro. Just not able to do it, didn't have enough, and unfortunately was not able to come home with the victory, but a very solid run for him. Mike Kelly comes home in 3rd. Scott Eckridge rebounds to finish 4th. Kyle Taraska is 5th. A very good run for Kyle Taraska. He was in a position to win at Charlotte a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately got caught up in one of the late accidents and was not able to capitalize on that opportunity. How about Nick Silver? We talked about him earlier on. He stayed out, was going to try to make a one-stop strategy. He's going to come home 6th.
As it stands, the top 5 as they finish, Anthony DeBarro in the 9. It'll be the 90 of Everhart will finish second after getting into the wall in the front straightaway on the last lap. Trying to make the last gasp attempt at Anthony DeBarro, and Mike Kelly will finish third. The 70 of Scott Eckridge fourth, and then the fifth spot will be Kyle Tarasca. So those 5 drivers with a strong run tonight. All of them started inside the top 10. Dwayne Vincent going to be the hard charger on the night. He's going to be plus 29, 37th to 8th as Anthony DeBarro burns it down on the front stretch. And we'll come back to you here in just a few moments here on LSR TV with our coverage of the post-race show for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Gary Mercer Trucking. Coming back to you live on iRacing Live and LSR TV, the voice of sim racing.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to the post-race show here on LSR TV, the voice of sim racing. Anthony DeBarro took home the victory here in the Pure Michigan 190. Daniel Everhart second. Mike Kelly at the bottom step of the podium. And we were really excited to see Everhart actually got to the back bumper, just kind of ran out of real estate on the front straightaway.
Yeah, he did everything he could to try to take that win and get it from Anthony DeBarro, and got to give him credit there. He drove it off into turn 3 to take a shot at him, but just wasn't able to get the job done. Came up just a little bit short, but still gets a really good run right there, and just an incredible drive for him. And Justin, this was just a really fun night. A lot of really good racing, a lot of exciting racing throughout the entire field, and I believe we're getting ready to do the full field rundown here, Justin. And this was just a really exciting race, though. A lot of fun to call, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it was a fun-filled race. I mean, a lot of good 2 and 3 wide action on the restarts there. Yellow fever in the middle of the race kind of really set the stage for the end. But again, DeBarro the victory, Everhart the second, Kelly third, Scott Eckridge fourth, Kyle Tarasca fifth, sixth to the 51 of Nick Silver, to the 8 of Chad Cole. Dwayne Vincent, the defending Full Throttle Cup Series champ, will finish 8th. 9th to the 25 of Joseph Tice. The 99 of Stefan Marinak will finish 10th.
Corbin Hemstreet, after starting 38th here tonight, he's going to finish in the 11th position. Sean Casto gets 12th. Mitch Rollo finishes 13th. Scott Simley is 14th. Rhett McBride finishes in the 15th position tonight. Tim Matthews will finish 16th. Steve Gottschalk finishes 17th. Tom Drilling will be 18th. 19th goes to A.J. Browning. And rounding out the top 20, Ross Cato finishes 20th.
21st to the 24 of Thomas J. George, who fades after a strong run most of the night. The 43 of Doug Roth will finish 22nd. 23rd to the 41 of Adam Blattle. The 18 of Todd Witkowski will finish 24th. The 25 of Michael Priester will finish 25th. 26th to the 5 of Dan Murray. The 42 of Scott Stenzel. First car 1 lap down. And 27th. The 28th spot goes to the 32 of Shane Ewing. The 29th spot goes to the 34 of Sean Boundy after that late wreck. The 97 of Lionel Kalisto. The main cause for the last wreck. He will finish
In the 31st position, Greg Evans is 32nd. All these drivers did not complete the race here tonight. They finished the race in the garage. 33rd goes to Christopher Hurlow. Kevin Linden is 34th. 35th goes to John Fowler. Josh Cheney is 36th. 37th goes to Douglas Wyatt. Joey Katina finishes 38th, and Carl Shedd rounds out this 39-car field. He'll finish 39th here tonight. And Justin Rosenau, I believe you have slipped your way into Gatorade Victory Lane, where a very exhilarated Anthony DeBarro is down there spraying champagne all over the place, and I believe you just got sprayed on a little bit as well. You're down there in Victory Lane with our race winner.
Yeah, I got sprayed on quite a bit. I forgot to do the full field rundown, but as it stands, Anthony DeBarro, you parked it down here in Victory Lane, man. You had to survive a last gasp attempt by Anthony by Daniel Eberhardt. Tell us about that run of the finish, because I'm sure you had to be worried about what Eberhardt was going to do in your review.
Well, I would say the pit crew won this race, getting me off of pit road first. That was tough, though. It was definitely going to make it easy for me. Just as I thought I was inching out there. He comes back that last lap and a half with like he put a cape on or something. I don't know. Daniel raced me clean. I was bracing for a bump in the 3 there, so I was very. He gained a lot of respect for me, more than. I mean, he had a lot already, but it's more now. So that whole team, they're fun to race with.
You know, you've won several times this year already. You've really made your mark here in the Full Throttle Cup Series. Looking forward as we start to narrow down the run to the chase, I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say you are the favorite, but is there anybody that really concerns you going into the chase?
Listen, there's a handful, not even more than a handful. I'd say 24 drivers that easily could go and steal this chase. So everyone is very competitive in this series, and it's a lot to do with getting out front and qualifying very well. That's key to, I would say, my success. And I'm up and down though. I got to work on like being consistent. It's a one race, it's one thing. One next race I make a mistake and wreck, I speed on pit road. I got to eliminate those, and that's what we're going to focus on this summer, and keep having fun and keep winning races, because this is I guess this when it's your year, right?
Certainly is, and looking forward here. We got Daytona to start the second half of the Full Throttle Cup Series season, as we are inside of the halfway point to the end of the regular season. Boomtown Sim, you've got Mitch Rollo, you got yourself with a win. Can Corbin get himself into the chase? I mean, he's had some bad luck so far this year.
Oh, I think we could get Sean and Corbin into the chase easily. Look what we did last year. I mean, this point last year, I don't even think we had a single car in the chase until I won at Daytona. So anything can happen. Still a little ways to the chase, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully things end up in the chase too. And I think we're going to be a real threat in the chase. They're going to have to go through us to get this championship.
Sponsors, shout-outs. Who's responsible for putting you down in Gatorade Victory Lane here tonight?
Well, Pit Stop Designs and Custom Gaming Garage, they're on board every once in a while for a primary sponsorship. So I'm sure we'll be doing some more stuff with them. And obviously my teammates, Corbin, Sean, Mitch, and Jared. He hasn't been around, but he'll be back. I know him.
That's the driver who's going to take home the Pure Michigan 190, Anthony DeBarro. Anthony, congratulations on your victory, and hopefully you continue a strong run of momentum into the chase.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you.
And we're going to move down pit road now. Brian Macklin, you've caught up with second-place finisher Daniel Eberhardt.
That I have indeed. Daniel Eberhardt down here on pit road. Dan, you gave one last-ditch effort going off into turn 3 on the final lap, trying to make a move for the race win. You just couldn't get the job done. Take us through that last lap and that last green flag run, trying to chase down Anthony DeBarro and trying to get another victory here tonight.
Well, the stint of that, the first part of the run, I was just trying to ride behind him and just save my stuff, and it just seemed like he was driving in a little bit harder than me, but it was like I was driving it off a little bit harder than he was. So who knows? Just wish there was 100 laps to the race instead of 95. And that last ditch effort in turn 3 and 4, I just tried to drive it off in there and show a nose and just hopefully scare him a little bit and make him think I'm going to wreck him, and I slammed the brakes. And then I was expecting him to throttle it up a little bit and make the car push up the track, and then I was going to slam the throttle and hopefully get up under him. But then I slammed the throttle and hit the wall. So that's how it goes. Racing is pretty much it's just a luck sport.
Yeah, well, you did a good job tonight, and next week we're going to head out west to Sonoma Raceway for a road course. How do you feel about heading out to a road course where you're going to make some left-hand turns and some right-hand turns for the first time this season in the Full Throttle Cup Series?
I'm not a big fan of it. I just hope I can make it the whole race. The problem with me is at a road course, I like slamming the throttle hard, and I don't really have that finesse for a road course, and I don't really care to turn right. It's not my strong suit. I love, my favorite thing to do is plate race. Everybody else hates it, and I love plate racing. I'd much rather us go to Daytona next week.
Well, you'll get that here towards the end of the summer. Of course, that race got rescheduled after we had to redo the Michigan race here tonight. So you'll get that opportunity later on this season in a few months or in a couple of weeks. I'm sure you'll be very excited to do that. But before we let you go, just want to give you an opportunity to say thank you to your sponsors and give any shout-outs to friends or family that might be watching. Who makes it happen for you on the number 90 machine?
Well, I got to thank Andy Kessler. He came in there, the 98 of Dave Washington. He just went off on a little vacation, just popped him out a margarita and just sat out and watched the race tonight. He came in real late. And I got to thank all the Aegis boys. It's we're coming. We're getting there. It's just taking a little bit more time than expected. The good Lord, and then I got to thank my grandma who sits in the other room, and you guys for what you do every week, LSRTV, and thank RSR for the phenomenal league they put on.
All right, Dan, well, thank you. Good job tonight. And tell David if he's going to go and pop margaritas, he needs to bring enough for everybody because we want some too.
10-4.
That was second place finisher Daniel Eberhardt. Solid run here tonight at Michigan. Not looking forward to the road course next week, but going to do everything he can to try to get a good run and see if he can't get something out there at Sonoma. Justin, I believe you've caught up with third place finisher Mike Kelly having a really good run here tonight in the Irish Hills.
Standing alongside the driver of the number 80, Mike Kelly. Mike, you really kind of snookered everybody into where you finished here. I mean, no, discredit to you or anything, but I really think that you really used stealth to really make your point tonight.
I'm just thrilled to be here. It's been a rough year, and I've had a lot of good runs. I've gone through a string here that's really killed me. I think I was 7th in the points and just about fell out of the top 16th. So stealth has kind of been my theme for the year. I seem to just keep running right at that level where I can't really get a lot of TV time and recognition, and then things happen and you finish 23rd and it's like an also ran. So I got a good start tonight because of the rain out. I was running good last week, so I felt good. And it was a good race. Anytime you look out the window at the end and see Little Lee and Big Tony ahead of you, you got a pretty daunting task. So I was thrilled to run third.
And looking forward, Mike, the regular season really starting to wind down. Need a win to really secure everybody into the chase. Mike, you think you got what it takes to steal one here in the next 10 races or so?
I do, because I'm a pretty darn good road racer. So I got 2 road races coming up that I feel I got a shot definitely to win. One of those weirdos that also likes to turn right. So I got a lot of time in road racing. I'm looking forward to those 2 races, and it's real tight from 10th to 16th. But if I can keep having runs like this, I'm pretty sure I can make it, even if I don't grab a win. But I'm definitely going to go for one.
And Mike, who really makes it happen for you? Sponsor shout-outs. Who's responsible for getting you on the podium tonight?
Well, I'll tell you, Kaziski Auto Parts, they stepped up for me for sponsorship for this series, and really appreciative of that. And they got a whole suite of sponsorships that came along with them at I-80 Speedway and the Little Sunset Speedway go-kart facility, and of course I-80 Speedway. And they're really helping me out to be able to do this season. Of course, my teammates, Kevin Linden, Nelson Rivera, who didn't get to make it last week, so he wasn't eligible to run this week. They're great teammates, and really appreciate you guys, dedicating your time to do this and put it out on the internet for people to see.
So driver the number I-80, Mike Kelly. Mike, congratulations on your 3rd place finish tonight, and good luck in the future.
Thanks, guys.
And Brian, before we eject for the evening, what's your final thoughts here from the Pure Michigan 190?
Well, this was just a really exciting race tonight. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad we got to run this race out to its conclusion. We had a bit of a hiccup last for issues. that kicked a lot of drivers out. All these drivers did a really good job, especially the ones that were taken out early on last week. They got a second chance in the early stages of last week's race and was able to make something out of it tonight. So good for him and good for all those drivers. And I'm really looking forward to heading out west to the road course next week. That's going to be a lot of fun seeing these drivers have to go from turning left all the time to having to turn left and right and hit the brakes and gas it up. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for the road course.
And we'll take a look ahead to some of the events we'll see here during the week here, not only on iRacing Live, but LSRTV as well. Tomorrow night, RaceSpot is going to take over the NASCAR race night here on iRacing Live, and it's going to feature our own Evan Pasoko and Andy Kessler. LSRTV no show. On Thursday, you'll see the Domino's TYJ Cup Series coming to you from the Bristol Motor Speedway. And then on Friday night, the iSuper Speedway finale down in Florida at Daytona, running 400 miles for that event. A good way to send them off here for the finale of their season. And then on Saturday, the VLN Endurance Series at the Nürburgring on RaceSpot, with our own Cisco Scaramuza going to trade in the buttons for a microphone. He's going to be participating with RaceSpot for that. And then later on Saturday night, the United Sim Racing Series will come to you live from the Atlanta Motor Speedway, and that'll complete the rest of the schedule here for us at LSRTV and iRacing Live. And for LSRTV's Evan Pasoko, Andy Kessler, and for the producer Cisco Scaramuza, and everybody else at LSRTV LLC, and on behalf of the broadcast team tonight, Brian Macklin and myself, Justin Rosenau, I'm going to remind everybody to please keep it safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side. And again, this was the Pure Michigan 190 for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, and good night, everybody. We'll see you on the flip side.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented under the authority of LSRTV LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations and may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form, nor the accounts and descriptions of this event disseminated in any way without the express written permission of Live Sim Racing TV. LSRTV would like to thank its loyal fans for their continued support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.